for joining. Good morning. Thanks for joining. This is the Doug Rice Show. I try to be everywhere I can be. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on YouTube. Hell, you can even find me on Twitch. But thank you for tuning in. Had a good meeting last night around 9 o'clock my time with an added addition to the team that brings you the Doug Rice Show. So expect it to get better, expect things to get more polished, expect things to get more exciting. But what's even more exciting than that, folks, well, all things are coming to an interesting way of seeing things. Yesterday, I don't know if any of you caught this, but yesterday they identified the Denver mass shooter. His name, Lyndon McLeod, and he's identified on social media as a white supremacist and Nazi. It says here that police say McLeod is the gunman who killed at least 5 people in and near Denver on Monday night. And so, we have yet again an example, an individual acting out. We're going to go into the story. I'm going to probably get into it a little bit later in the show. I do want to say that if you do like this effort, if you enjoy the Doug Rice Show, and as I get more and more polished in delivering quality content to you, and delivering the black news you so desperately need every damn day at 6 and 6, if you appreciate the effort, please feel free to commit to supporting it in the links that are provided in the description. We have a Patreon, we have a Cash App, and of course, we have a Fundly. Thank you so much for all of you who have shown your great support in this effort. And so, today is the 29th of December, 2021. We quickly approach the 1-year anniversary that began this effort, that began this show, the Doug Rice Show. As you know, it started out in attempting to avoid what I have coined caucasity. Now, before everybody gets their panties in a bunch, caucasity is not anything descriptive of color. It is an attitude. It is that sense of privilege. It's also that in your business air that so many carry about them when we begin to speak amongst ourselves. It can be carried by any person of any supposed color. And while we're on color and race, I need everybody to know that I reject the entire concept of race. Race is a construct that has kept us where we are. It was designed so that Hebrews, Negroes, are kept in check and enslaved in this god-awful penal colony for Negroes. All right, so with all that said, I want to say again, good morning, how are you, and hello. This is the Doug Rice Show. Now, I am trying to get things in gear on the website side of things. It will happen, I assure you. It's just a matter of time. For those of you that see this this podcast after the fact, I do appreciate your support. And please like, subscribe, and share the information that you find pertinent. I'm just getting my little monitor and things all set up so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so it's early. I know folks are not here. That is fine. My job is to do what I do anyway. All right, so interesting. The first thing I heard of the shooting in Denver, the fact that they did not immediately, show the suspect. The fact that was not their intent, and it took, I would say, quite a while. I don't know that they still have shown the face of the guy. And it's interesting. Oh, is this him right here? Denver Lakewood shooter wrote a book about killing, I guess, black people, I would suppose. I'm going to share this in the chat for those of you that may arrive late. Good morning, Island Encounters. Getting a little bit smoother at how we present this. I'm showing what appears to be new information about yesterday's or day before yesterday or yesterday's melee. Again, the Denver mass shooter, Lyndon McLeod, identified on social media as a white supremacist and a Nazi. Well, go figure. And they're angry as hell. I'll throw it up on the Twitterverse as well so folks can see that. I don't know. Tell me, Mr. Island, when you first heard of this shooting, what's the first thing that came to your mind? Folks in Denver, excuse me, getting shot. First thing hit your mind when that happened? I don't know. First thing came to my mind was, wow, did someone else lose their mind, and was it one of us? And usually the answer to that question is no. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Peace and blessings, Toller. I did not see you up there. Thank you for joining the Doug Rice Show. We're gonna go over this information, and we're gonna try to do it a little bit more slower, a little bit more succinctly. Again, with a new team that's depending on me to deliver quality content so that they can take that information, take that content, and edit, manipulate it, and make it presentable just for you. Welcome. All right, so the Denver shooter. Let's go through this. And again, I'll take any questions and we can go through this. So the Denver shooter, police say McLeod is the gunman who killed at least 5 people in and near Denver on Monday night. Wow. It's been widely publicized, described on social media as a white supremacist and Nazi sympathizer who also harbored hatred toward women. And the folks making these claims have the receipts. What an interesting development. After keeping his identity secret for more than 24 hours following a shooting spree in multiple locations that claimed 5 lives on Monday night, law enforcement officials in Denver finally named Lyndon James McLeod as the gunman who ultimately died after a brief shootout with police. So, what are your thoughts, folks? What do you think of that? Why would, good morning, King and Queens. Why do they take such a short amount of time to release the information involving a person they consider white? Again, I reject race at all turns. But why do they take so long to release the information on that individual and their description and who they are? But when it comes to one of us, when it comes to a Negro that is, I can't believe I did that. When it comes to a Negro doing anything, the first thing that we are met with is a full-blown, high-definition 4K color photo with a description of this individual all the way down to any criminal record that they might have. And they don't do it. They don't wait 24 hours. But in this instance, for Mr. McLeod, who took the life of 5 people, they measured how they would release information. I find that quite disturbing, but more than that, I find it quite telling. It kind of tells us where we are on the ladder of presentation and information when it comes to crime. Shalom. Good morning. How are we? Again, first time. So, Mr. Toller, first and only time I heard about the Denver shooter was on the Doug Rice Show. Wow. Well, I appreciate that. Glad I could be of informational service to you as we continue. I just want to see what's going on here. So, they broke the news. It looks like I saw yesterday, 4:04, 47-year-old Lyndon James McLeod. Shooter was killed by the unidentified Lakewood police officer who he shot. The officer is in stable condition and doing well. Now let's continue with the article itself. Here we go. McLeod had been criminally investigated this and last year for unspecified suspicions, according to reports. However, no arrests ever came from the probes. Well, folks, go figure. Last year he was investigated, no arrests. Because they went out, they talked to him, they saw who he was, they saw what he was, and they deemed no threat present. Let's continue. He is accused of killing 2 people and injuring another at a tattoo parlor at around 5 p.m. Monday in Denver, firing shots at a Denver intersection and forcing his way into a home. Killing a man at his Denver home, shooting at police while they tried to pull him over, driving to nearby Lakewood and killing another person there, killing a woman who was shot in a hotel in Belmar before an officer shot him. Well, my goodness. And they went out to see this guy. Twice. But might I observe that had it been perhaps a Hebrew they went out to go see, maybe all of this would have been, well, no, a Hebrew wouldn't have gone on a rampage and starting killing innocent people indiscriminately in any way, shape. Not one that has, any sense of self. Let me address that, because I'm going to get into this. This is important. I get this a lot, and here's the deal. When a Hebrew goes on a killing spree, when a Hebrew does something of just ridiculously ill repute, when a Hebrew commits a crime so heinous, we thought it was a European. And we are shocked when we see that, my God, one of us has acted out. Well, let me run this down to you. I'm going to break this down to you like a fraction, all right? And this is for those of you that, I don't know, maybe getting your fucking feelings about Hebrews, Negroes, when they do something. When we do something, it's automatically associated with black people everywhere in this country, specifically. When we do something, when we rob, when we kill, when we do all the stupid things that we do here, and we know that we do those things. When we hear about those things being done, presented to us by our oppressor, who loves to wag their little fucking wrinkled fingers in our face and tell us about places like Chicago. We know about brothers and sisters in Chicago. We know about brothers and sisters everywhere. We can't help but know you cover it so fucking well. Thanks for that. But when we hear about it presented to us, and so directly, you don't hear black people getting in their feelings. You don't hear black people trying to defend. You don't hear black people taking in air. Anytime you associate a crime that happened 20,000 leagues under the sea away from anyone associated with that individual, and we have to hear it the next day at work, or we have to suffer the air of attitude and indignant as if somehow that behavior is associated with us who work in a fucking office next to you and have been here for the last 2 goddamn years. And then you're going to look at us in our face and say, hey, Doug, did you hear about what happened in Chicago? Yeah, Bill, I heard about what happened in Chicago. Why don't you tell me about it? What do you think? It's getting kind of vigorous over there, huh? Well, I don't know, Bill. I live in Phoenix. You want me to make some calls? But when Mr. McLeod here loses his goddamn mind, when the brakes come off, and sense and sensibility, when safety off is the order of the day for Mr. Nazified McLeod, and he goes on a killing spree that spans miles throughout in an area that they should have some control over. I mean, it's Denver, right? Didn't somebody tell me that in these predominantly white areas, I was told this on TikTok, you folks follow this. Didn't the guy say that in white areas, they don't even lock their doors? I think that young man might want to take a look at the activity in Denver and click that door lock. I don't know. Maybe some things are coming unraveled in the community he lives in. Maybe. I don't know. But 24 hours to release Mr. McCloud's name, eh? And of course, they all are able to stand as individuals in the midst of Mr. McCloud's mess. Let me explain what I mean. Now, you think of what I'm saying. Let's just say one of us goes on a rampage. One of us snaps. All right? One of us has just had too much caucasity in our life. And we just decide to go off the goddamned rails. Well, can you imagine how black officers responding to the scene? And you know the energy they get from other officers when a brother just goes ham. Maybe even decides to offer slave catcher or two. And then, I just can't imagine. Let me tell you something. If you are black and you are an officer after any one of us acts out, especially in offense to one of the badge-wearing folks, boy, you better sleep in your fucking uniform. Do you understand? If you are black and that occurs? And then I can just imagine as you walk through the precinct wearing the uniform and you get the glares from those that have infiltrated law enforcement who are white nationalists looking at you wear that badge. Are you picturing it? And then, if we can carry it even further, think of what happens to that officer's attitude, that black officer, that slave catcher who wears a badge, who feels the resentment of the brothers in blue that are supposed to love him so much. And he goes out with venomous intent on catching one of us for them. Don't piss me off. I might paint a picture for you motherfuckers. So when we do something, it is collectively associated with all of us. When they do something, they can walk about the crime scene feeling footloose and fancy-free because they know and they are understood that, hey, some guy went crazy. Oh, well, let's get him. But if it's one of us that loses our minds, then the motivation is a bit skewed in a more racially intonated direction, isn't it? A bit more vim and vigor to get a brother that does something against the law. Wouldn't you say? I would say so, for God's sake. Shit, sell some cigarettes. What? You okay? Have a busted taillight. I mean, you know, if you're gonna test the waters of just what they'll fucking tolerate as a black person in their community, I mean, you don't have to do too much heinous shit to get your life taken. I mean, you know, I've yet to see one of them get choked out and murdered for selling cigarettes. I've been waiting to see it. I just ain't seen it. I've waited to see one of them, you know, call for help before officers arrive. I've yet to see one of them taken down on the ground, beaten within an inch of their life, having their teeth kicked out, taken to the hospital, then to jail, having to bail out, and then straighten the whole thing out. I don't think that when one of them calls for police and raises their hand to wave them down with a cell phone is not shot fucking dead. Don't fucking tell me that they're not conditioned to react to Negroes just a little bit differently. And don't tell me that we are not trained to accept and associate anything done by us, well, it being us, And that's what we have to deal with. But not so. Not so when a Mr. McCloud loses his fucking mind. Oh no. Doesn't it feel good to say it? You know it does. What are you guys talking about? And we had a lot of bikers and yuppies doors. Very true. That very true. Let me see. Island Encounter. That's very true. Past Lakewood, they don't really lock their doors. Good day. What up, Doug? True, we appraise as a collective. Well, guess what? They better lock them. They don't lock their doors, and yet they raise children who terrorize other children at schools. They don't lock their doors, but they buy guns for their 17-year-olds and drive them to areas so they can regulate and feel like men. Because inside, God knows what they feel like. Yeah, they don't lock their doors. Well, you know what? Maybe they should lock their doors and stop buying their children guns. I mean, don't tell me how safe it is in their fucking communities, because that's a lie. Also, don't tell me how unsafe it is in black communities, because guess what, motherfuckers? That's a lie. The perspective spoon-fed to the American public paints a picture that's a fucking falsehood. And anyone that swallows that shit deserves to be poisoned. All right, welcome to the Doug Rice Show. Hey, it's 6:21 in the morning, and I'm just getting goddamn started. Now, if you like this effort, and since you probably know monetizing is a rarity here for me at YouTube, the language I use, dear God. So, if you like what I do, please feel free, click on the links in the description, which will be there afterwards. I'm sure I have a team that does that, I guess. And so, support it. Because, listen, it's long overdue we spoke frankly. And about my language, fuck you. Let me tell you why. I said this in a tweet. I mean this shit, all right? We got black leaders in this motherfucking country been talking smooth to these goddamn people for years. You know, not a single use of profanity in sight. They don't even say heck, while they beg to be treated fairly, while they implore not to be murdered in the streets, while they ask that, the housing prices that we pay don't reduce by $500,000 because we're black. We'd appreciate that not happening. And you know what? We won't use profanity in asking, in begging, imploring, and on our knees. In fact, while we riot, we won't curse. Now, I want you to focus on this, folks. Now, you got all these respectable motherfuckers in their goddamn faces, and they're talking to them politely. And do you know what we're getting? We're getting Juneteenth. It's a national holiday. I'm happy. Fucking please. So I'll curse, thank you. Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. This is going to be wonderful. All right, so I don't need to read. The guy's motive not been publicly revealed. Twitter account, Springs Anti-Fascist, describes themselves as a group exposing fascists. Denver shooter, white supremacist, misogynist, obsessed with masculinity. They're obsessed with masculinity, oppressing women. Folks, I've got to read this one. Look now, just roll with me. So, the Denver mass shooter was a white supremacist and a misogynist, obsessed with masculinity, oppressing women, defending the white race, and, of course, you can't forget this, shooting communists. Because you just are not a decent white supremacist if you're not willing to shoot a few communists, here and there. Now, not to bang on communists, but they're white too. So, look, here's my problem. It's not even, look, bro, partner, dude, partner. You all that? You don't even, do you have a cell phone, you're on the, what is wrong? You got a girlfriend? I mean, you all that. You obsessed with, masculinity. I mean, what is it you obsessed? What are you obsessed with masculinity? What is this obsession with masculinity all of a sudden? What are these people combating or fighting within themselves that they find it so difficult to, I don't know, come to terms with their masculine? What the fuck is going on? What is it? Cavemen of the world unite? What the fuck? And it starts with Donald Trump. He wants to be strong. Kodak. Shut up! Pick up a fucking book. Jesus. Really? You know what's bothering me? It's 2021, motherfuckers. It ain't even it's not even 1950. Jack LaLanne, Tarzan, those fictional Caucasic characters of the 50s and 60s that thrust into the minds of the public the, white savior, concept. I mean, they beat that shit in people's heads. Once they got television, they realized they could do that shit. And once the television went color, oh my God. Then it just went wild. Then everything you looked at. Okay? So, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with dude. I mean, he wants masculinity, he wants to oppress women. What the fuck's wrong with women? What the hell? I don't understand this. He wants to oppress women, but he's obsessed with masculinity. So he's obsessed with masculinity to the point that he wants to oppress femininity. That might turn out badly for him. Oh, I'm sorry. It did turn out badly for him. All right. So there's that. Link to this is in not only the thank you. Link to this is in the chat. Also on my Twitter. Come on, man. Grow the fuck up. What is wrong with these? You know what it is? It's a lack of maturity and guidance. You talk about black men, supposed black men, who are fatherless due to the structured imprisonment cycle put in place by this government. And you can then identify perhaps the disjointed, relationships that black men may have in our communities resulting in crime. But when one of these motherfuckers loses their mind, so now you have to say, well, I mean, you claim you are a white supremacist. You are a supreme person. That means all is well with you, right? I mean, I would expect a person that is supreme not to do this shit. I would expect a person that claims to be, like KRS-One said, he has yet to meet a supreme white man. But here's one that claims supremacy, but he's a misogynist. He's obsessed with masculinity. He hates women. And he wants to defend the white race against what? What are you defending your race against? Who said you were in a race? I mean, the whole concept, my take on calling things race is just ridiculous. This is what's driving men mad. Race is driving men mad. The very construct created to keep Negroes in check is now driving them insane. The irony. Dear God, I hope they're okay. All right, so this is everywhere. This is everywhere you guys want it to be. Thanks you again for supporting the Doug Rice Show. I am, in fact, Doug Rice, sitting here live. I'm here from, 6 a.m. to about 7. I'm trying to do a complete hour show for you. What up, Arthur Bacon? Good to see you. Frankie Avalon. Frankie Avalon! Yeah, I got coffee ready, but I left it in the room, and that's okay. I don't need it because I've got cold coffee here. They still crack whips in the rain out there. They do indeed. I don't really know what that means, but I'm wondering if that's a referral to, chain gangs in the state of Mississippi. Yeah, they still crack whips in the rain out there. They sure as fuck do. Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. More likely unmonetizable here on YouTube, but I make up for it in what I hope are my supporters. All right, so on to the next article. Hit that like button. Thank you. Hit that like button, chat. Do I do that or do you do that? Or I don't even know. Hit that like button. Oh, you're telling the folks in chat to hit the like button. I will get used to this. All right, so moving on. Here we go. Next article. As we know, and just to give everybody a heads up what I'm doing, I search term black news. Okay? I start anywhere. This is MSN. I could start at Google. It don't matter. I'm using the Edge browser over Tor today only because Edge opens up in different tabs, which my manager has told me I need to be prepared. So, that's the format. There is no programming here. Here's the reason I say that. You've already been programmed. All of us have been programmed. We've been programmed for a number of years. 400 years, in fact. Programmed every day. And my job is to format the programming. So I have a show format. You get it. Okay. So the format is black news. No programming because I only catch what I think are gems. So here is gem number 2. Something that I will get into. Mr. Dapper real estate agent in Miami suspected of being a serial killer. My goodness. A serial killer. I put this, and for God's sake, he's 25 years old. And thank you for reminding me, like and share and subscribe to Doug Rice, the one and only. Hopefully soon to be the Doug Rice Show because I asked them to change it from Doug Rice, the one and only, to the Doug Rice Show so that I could be okay. So, Dapper real estate agent in Miami is arrested and suspected of being a serial agent. The 25-year-old agent is a suspect in a shooting and possible murders of homeless people? Partner! For real, though? Look, partner. Look, I'm fully 100% in possession of my faculties. Seriously, dog? So, you like killing homeless people? Seems to me. Okay, so let's unpack it. Let's unpack it. It's where it needs to be. I've thrown it up on the Twitterverse. For God's sake, young brother decides he just gonna kill a few people. I understand. Okay, well, you go, boy. I dig it. All right, so let's read, shall we? Suspected serial killer, who is also a handsome real estate agent, was charged with attempted murder for the non-fatal shooting of a homeless man in Miami, according to the Miami Herald. And of course, what in the world? They wrote that. What in the world? That was unnecessary. The suspect is 25-year-old Willie Suarez Maceo. Police believe he could be the person who fatally shot another homeless man. Unrelated to the shooting, he is charged with... Well, now, clearly, making no difference of Hispanic origin or not, he is a Hebrew. Now, let me try to unpack my thoughts on why sometimes we do this. And roll with me on it. Because it kind of dovetails into what I was talking about in the earlier segment. Now listen carefully. When you take a people, an entire group of people, a family, when you take a royal family, priesthood, God set apart, I'll stop. When you take a group of people and you go over to where they're at, across the sea, thousands of miles, and you corral specific people. And those people don't have no idea who the fuck you are, what you're saying, and they're generalized as not human in most respects. You snatch them and bring them to a land you stole from other people that may or may not be related to us. I drift. Now you take those individuals and you put them in chains and you enslave them. And as you do so, you strip them of their identity. Anything that may be reminiscent of their culture, their society, their language, their thought, their idea, their character, their principles, their values. You take everything that is them and you rip it from them. You rip it. You snatch it from them. You snatch it from within them. You punish them for remembering who they are. You go so far as to perhaps even murder to make your point that they will forget, they must forget. And then you fill them with your values, your principles, your character, all the things that you hold dear. You create a version of yourself, but not a principled version, not a version that is 100% indicative of your freedoms, but a subversion of yourself, and you marginalize, mitigate, torture, murder. And you maintain a control and a hold over this group of now changed individuals to suit your fucking needs. And then, when you're done with them, or perhaps the sentiment within your society regarding their treatment has changed, instead of you dovetailing them ever so gently into your society as a way of compensating for the torture suffered for so many years, what you do instead is you release them in the wild, untrained, unassisted, just free, with the ill intent of capturing them again almost immediately with law and rule and force and violence. Eventually, those changed beings, reflective now of you, are kept and corralled in neighborhoods and cities the likes of which you yourself would never even enter, while you enjoy breathing room in this country and amass and keep the wealth built on the very backs of the individuals you have stripped of their identity, placing yours in them to go about and make it under circumstances and conditions that you control. You will determine where they live, how much they learn, what they earn, what they do. And as these poor copies of you go about, trying so desperately to be accepted by the very individuals who reject them on a daily goddamned basis, eventually it completes the process. Eventually, that individual emerges from the cocoon of caucasity, a completely changed individual, and perhaps in wanting to be just like our oppressor, act out in kind, dress in a suit, become a real estate agent, and become a serial killer to satisfy whatever caucastic urge is embedded in his psyche. Yeah. So you don't like what we do? You don't like Negroes going off. You don't like black people, the crime, the death, the shootings, Chicago, Detroit, LA, all these places. Well, let me tell you something as you wag your wrinkled little fucking fingers in our face. Everything you do not like about what Negroes do, well, Be content in knowing that everything you see that you don't like, we learned from you. How you like that? You don't like the crime? You don't like the murder? You feeling scared? Well, black people are only a reflection of you. Because you understand, we were a people of special possession, as we still are. But we were conscious of who we were as you sailed across the sea to fulfill prophecy. As you gathered amongst yourselves, reading scriptures, understanding what must be done to create the nation you envision. This long-standing, slow-moving, I would say a suspicious, well, it's almost, it was a move, a mechanism that moved over 100 years, that began in Spain, landed in Europe, moved over to the Americas, and then retrieved us from where they call Africanus. Let us cause them to forget themselves. Let us do this thing. For those of you that don't know where I have just gone, open up Scripture, for God's sake. That is who we are. That is what they have done. They've stripped us, caused us to forget that we are Hebrews, and put in us nothing but caucasity, their values, so that what we do is we put suits on, like so many of us have done, and we perfect the illusion, we perfect the image, we perfect the imitation, such to the point that perhaps we take on the attributes and do stupid shit like that. We're not them. I need you to understand that. We're not them. We've been taught to be our oppressors, but we were never meant to mingle with the nations. Never. The fact that we are here, surrounded by the very people we defeated so long ago, tells you who's who and what's what. There's an inherent fear of Negroes that streams through history and in the past. And if you want to know our history, if you really want to see the history of Negroes, all you got to do is look in the scriptures they use to worship the gods that helped create them. All right, folks. Well, that was a good one. This is Doug Rice Show. It's 6:42. You guys having a good one? I thought that was good. Yeah, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that share button. And, this is what we suffer as we imitate our oppressors. We turn into serial killers sometimes. Sometimes we go on shooting sprees. But anytime I hear of a serial killer, anytime I hear of serial killers shooting sprees, I mean, folks, what's typical is what's typical. And if you don't want to point at the problem, then maybe you shouldn't be watching the Doug Rice Show, because that's what I'm going to do. All right, 6:43. The next bit of news, black news. We call it black news because Negro news doesn't give me the results I try to get. The next black news article looks like the mainstream media is being slammed for, and this is interesting, anti-black Omicron news coverage spreading misinformation. The media should be ashamed of enabling racist narratives. Civil rights advocate Color Change says. So I'm a little bit, there goes my little stupid thing. I'm a little bit confused on this one. I'm gonna share it naturally. That's what I do. But this one's a bit interesting. I wanna read this and see if I can get a good bead on it. So, the fundamental foundation of journalism has always been centered on the primary principle of accuracy. But as the Omicron variant fuels the latest wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, far too many mainstream media outlets have been quick to erroneously assign carte blanche blame to the entire continent of Africa, without doing their due diligence, according to a progressive civil rights advocacy group. Yes, it's true that Omicron was discovered by scientists in South Africa, but that doesn't mean that's where the exponentially contagious yet must let... Okay, folks, here's what's going on. All right, I get it. Basically, they blamed the coronavirus on China. They don't want to blame Omicron on Africa. All right. So, you try to hit. Sometimes there's a miss. I will say this. When you go to these articles, you're looking at... I felt this may have been something, and that's why I will not read it first. I just go for the headline. But I felt this was something about the vaccine thing. So I thought that was going on. But, of course, that's important, too. They don't want Omicron. And, of course, I got to remember where I'm at. They don't want us to talk about the whole V thing. So I guess I got to watch that. I forgot that. How's everybody enjoying the show? Good morning, and how are you? Let's just move to the next topic. The Black History mural at Washington University vandalized with racist symbols. Well, of course it was. Of course it was. Because that's at the heart of what's going on. I need you to understand. I mean, are they paying attention to two different directions here? Is a segment of them mad at us espousing Black history? Oh, students did this. Students did this. There's no, you don't have to, you have to guess. I'm going to share this one, will be shared. Students did this. And, this one I am going to read. Let's see. So several images of Black icons such as civil rights leader John Lewis and the actor Chadwick Boseman were defaced with white paint. What, Chadwick Boseman got you, Wakanda got you feeling some kind of way? Thurgood Marshall? Just the images of blackness just upset people to the point. And folks, I don't know, white paint. I don't even know. I haven't been to Lowe's lately, but I can just imagine. If you're talking about smearing it, that's like $23 a gallon. A can, $5.99. But, people pay money. I need you to understand. Somebody went and bought the tiki torches. This is so odd. It's not just the act, it's the things that lead up to the act. Somebody's like, and then you got to understand, somebody saw the actual thing. Okay? Somebody saw it. And they just wanted to do harm to it. Racist symbols were scribbled over the face of the civil rights leader and former. What is it? Now, you need to understand, folks. Look, I'm not just pointing this out for shits and giggles, okay? The sight of an image causes action. The sight of an image, and I need you to understand, this is violent action. This isn't an act. This is violence. This is done because either they're too much of a coward to walk up to a black person and just say, I don't like black people. Or they aren't cowards and one wasn't around. This was the closest they could come. And you have to ask yourself, here's the reason this is so important, okay? Only until recently, and more done by liberals or supporters, they've had their statues up for so many years. Remember, they put those statues of their Southern Confederate heroes all over the South as a way to intimidate Negroes. You keep them reminding us of, what they did, what they might do, what they will do, what they gonna do, what they are doing. Right? And not, to my knowledge, have I heard of us going up to their statues, their symbols of hatred, their sinister, ominous, vehicles of intimidation, stationary and for years sitting there until acts of judicial legislation had to remove them. But there wasn't a common practice of going up to these goddamn monstrosities and painting shit on them. But we didn't touch their shit. You know? Hebrews see shit every day they don't agree with. Black people see shit every day. I have never been moved to grab a spray paint can and act out. Personally, I've never been moved, but it seems almost right up there with, us walking down the street and car rolling up behind us and the N-word getting yelled at. That seems to be all them. We don't do that. See, and for us not to point out the obvious, that does all of us a fucking disservice. So when I see shit like this, I got something to fucking say about it. Like, I can guarantee you I know exactly who did this. Still grinning. And I could see if it was like 1950, 1980. But this 2021, and they still about that same bullshit, y'all. They still about the same white supremacy. You would think the shit is dated. You would think nothing gets old like white supremacy don't get old. It is ageless. Everything, clothes, dates, style, dates, card, date, shit. Fuck. Everything gets dated. Everything gets old, but that fucking white supremacy stays young, doesn't it? Age defying. They need to turn that shit into some kind of salve so you can put it all over your fucking face. So that's up. And, welcome again to the Doug Rice Show. I'm trying to give you a solid hour. I'm trying to make sure that I deliver. I want to make sure that if you decide to support this effort, you support an effort that gives you at least a fucking hour. So that's what I'm also going to have a call-in line. Oh, God. Can't believe I said that, but I am. I am going to have a call-in line. I'm going to have folks being able to call in. Thank you for loving the show. And you're going to be able to comment. Of course, you know how I am, so be nice. Okay. But, I am going to have a call-in. I'm probably going to start that as soon as possible, as soon as I pass it by my management, who tells me to do that. Yesterday, I changed this chair to something different, and it was a horrible show. Horrible. Had to redo it. Back in the saddle, folks. Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. Please like and share. Subscribe to the Doug Rice Show. Join. I set that up myself. I hope you enjoy that. Here's the reason. I don't complain. But everyone can imagine the backlash I'm getting from doing this. And the fact that I won't stop doesn't really help things. So if you are supportive of what I will get on this channel and say twice a day, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Phoenix time, then please feel free. Go to the description, dig deep. All right, let's go on to the next one, because there is a next one. And you know what? I've learned I can talk through the hoarseness. One of my best and oldest supporters has said that I need to get lemon and warm juice. I will do so, but I also can talk through it, which is what I'm going to do this morning. All right, here we go. So next, this is just a little interesting stuff I found. So we covered the vandalism. So here's another one. This is interesting. So we got an airplane Karen that was taken into custody on a Delta flight. I try to, acting out, this from the Griot. It's on the Twitterverse. But, this is Patricia Cornwell, naturally a Cornwell, from the Hampton Cornwells. Airplane Karen taken into custody after attack on Delta flight. Patricia Cornwell physically attacked another passenger and invoked the name of a civil rights icon in a dispute over seating and mask wearing. So let me understand this. She wanted the aisle seat so she could get to the bathroom, whatever. She didn't want to wear a mask. She got rowdy, and then what did she do? Civil rights? So listen, so they're feeling so out of sorts that now they're invoking our civil rights circumstances to their current issues. Pretty soon, they're just going to be black folk. I mean, what are they going to call themselves? The new Negroes? The new colored people? What are they going to do? I mean, what is it? It's like almost flipping the script. You know, what are you doing? You know, and the entitlement. Listen to me. Along with the rage and the anger is the entitlement. I've been a victim of their entitlement. I very rarely walk amongst these heathens. Sorry. But when I do, you can feel it. You know, you're standing somewhere waiting to get served, and they may think of cutting in front of you until you look at them like you will do bodily harm if they do so. You know, they'll intrude in a conversation. If you are doing something minding your own business, they'll latch on to your psyche, trying to siphon off your energy. Let's read what this one did. Yeah. So, pre-Christmas flight got dicey when a woman now dubbed Airline Karen got into an altercation with another passenger. The ATL Uncensored Twitter account posted a nearly 2-minute video of a woman standing with her mask down below her chin while on flight 2790 from Tampa, Florida. And of course, their teleprompter was, "Oh my God, really? She said that?" So, Patricia Cornwell trying to get back to her seat, but the cart blocked her way. Oh God. When she was told to take an open seat until the cart moved enough for her to return, she allegedly said, "Who am I? Rosa Parks?" Oh, so she was a racist about this whole deal. The fuck is wrong with these people? Now listen. I encourage Hebrews to keep to yourselves, to maintain distance, healthy mental distance, healthy psychic distance from all Gentile heathens. Now, who they are about you, you decide. But I maintain that this woman, more likely, is associated with black people in her life. She is, by all accounts, not a racist. I'm going to go ahead and defend Miss Cromwell. There you go, Miss Cornwell. From Doug Rice to you. Here's the reason why. Within the psyche of these individuals who are obsessed with being white is a hidden layer of racism that they keep like sediment at the bottom of their brains. Now, everywhere else in their brains they walk about, as long as they're not disturbed, their brains are clear of any racial animus, of any negative opinion toward Negroes. And for all intents and purposes, you can interact with this individual every day, all day. Pleasant, polite, cordial, good person. Right? But the sediment in so many of them, that layer of racist hatred, that layer of animus against all things that even remind them of Negro. You churn up like a snowball. There, the sediment now fills the mind and poisons the water. Once clear, now foul. And then she lets shit like this come out of her mouth. Who am I, Rosa Parks? Why would she do that? What did you... Now you got to consider. She was told to go somewhere and stand here while the cart went past her. Then she could come out. You know what we're talking about, right? And she thought at that point, who am I, Rosa? So listen, now let's dissect it, folks. Let me tell you why. She did that in the hearing of a Negro. Yeah, and it just sprang out of her. The sediment. Remember the sediment? It's right at the bottom. All of us have sediment. I'll admit that. Sure. I'm trying to empty the sediment. You can attempt to do that. She's content with it there, that layer. Maybe it's a protective layer, that clear mind, protector of hatred, that clearness won't flow to her heart. So every so often you be shaking up, poisons the whole mind. That's what happens. I think that's what happens to him. Because I'm looking at the guy. He saw a Black Lives Matter. He saw a Black Lives. What the fuck? You gazed your eye on something that had words on it, and as a result, you shot at a car. You stabbed the tires. You wrote the N-word on a truck. That was done. Otherwise, I will guarantee that man interacted with black people all day. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Can I help you? No, I'm just doing okay, great. Hey, good morning. How are you doing? But that sediment, the sediment of hatred and racist that lines the bottom of the minds of these Caucasic individuals. It's always there. It's always ready. Isn't it? How dare this woman? Who am I? Rosa Parks? You ever see Rosa Parks? Nice lady. Nice lady. And she would invoke her name and do so in the hearing of Negroes. She wouldn't have done that in the hearing. If she were surrounded by caucasity, she would have not let that word come out of her mouth. Who am I? Rosa Parks? Because I'm asking you to get in the back of the bus, so you thought the relatable mention of Rosa Parks would be appropriate in this setting. Because, and I will tell you why she said that. She said that because she felt the privilege of her caucasity. She felt she could allow that insult to come out of her mouth unchallenged. And that's something. And what happened? Well, let's see. So the passenger seated nearby told her, "You're not black. This isn't Alabama, and this isn't a bus." That led to the confrontation recorded by the passenger. Now, listen, I don't know that I can show this without violating some sort of copyright, but you do have the link, and they did film it. So she's also, "Sit down, Karen. You're a goddamn Karen. Sit down." The man fires. When the man calls her a bit, Cornwell strikes him in the face, attempting to attack him, as an attendant holds her back, and the man yells, "That's assault. Now you're going to jail." Cornwell then spits on the man. Well, I'm just going to pause right there. So, folks, listen. In the black community, in the Hebrew community, in the Negro community, most things are permissible. I mean, we do the dozen, right? We do the dozen, right? We scrap a little bit, a lot of talking, we don't hurt you though. But two things will trip the light fantastic on your monkey ass. One, kicking. We don't tolerate kicking. Don't kick us. But two, which in all respect should be number one, don't you ever, I mean ever, fucking spit on a Negro. Let me tell you something. Even the N-word can be looked over in some circumstances. If coming from, I don't know, say a crazed 80-year-old paraplegic with mental problems, with, I might let that go. Maybe. But that same motherfucker spit on me, I will drag that ass out of the chair, down the street, and commence. Don't spit on people. That's nasty. Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. I know. I try. I posted this video because now where she spit on him and scratched his face. Wow. Thank you, Saj Reyes. I appreciate it. No, she passed the child. You can't change it, but boom, I go ahead and put that on there, Anna Marie. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. I try not to ignore you. I've got to pay attention to you folks. I appreciate you tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And thank you so much for attending. What I do, real easy. I go over black news. And I give a commentary, a narrative. Because it's my assertion that we are on the precipice of open civil war 2.0. And it's also my assertion that we, as Hebrews, we gave a good effort to the first civil war. I mean, we were there, right? I mean, we tried to be. We didn't really know too much. It was a little awkward. I mean, I watched Glory. It was a bit, you had to learn the guns, the marching, the language. Pay wasn't that good. Of course, the uniforms got gone. And then in the end, we died for the country. All in the name of the Union. I get it. But now you want to fight again. And I already know, well, shit, you want us to vote, so I know you're going to want us to fight. And my job is to tell Hebrews, Negroes, fuck that! We're not fighting your war anymore. We're not losing treasure for this nonsense anymore. We're not going to sit here and join you clowns as you fight over what you already possess. We're not going to help you with this. What we're going to do is we're going to sit this one out, and by God, you're going to stay the fuck away from us. Now that's advice, only because the moment you touch God's eyeball, God's going to show up. It's going to be a bad day then. So y'all want to fight, I suggest that you do just as you did in the First Civil War. Go find a big giant field. And y'all go meet up in that field. And for God's sake, bring all the guns that you've amassed over the last 10 years, doubling from 200 million to 400 million guns. Bring those and have at it. But Hebrews are not partaking. Hebrews await the kingdom. Hebrews not only are set apart, we must set apart. Do you understand? This is not our fight. This is not our country. Motherfuckers, this ain't even their country. But they want to fight over it anyway. And I think it's only fair to let everybody know, natives, I don't call them Native Americans anymore. Natives were told that they wouldn't last 300 years here. Oh, check my math. Oh, yeah, I'm going to point something out that most of you are not paying attention to. You guys understand that you're not going to find a native anywhere that you can just talk to. The reservations weren't punishment. The reservations weren't, the reservations were protection from them, their knowledge, the shit that they know. The time before that they have detailed information, they don't want that shit out. And the future that the natives know. Now, there's every possibility that they are Hebrews. I will say that. There's every possibility that these natives are Hebrews. But they know that this too shall end. And all I'm saying is, Hebrews, you've put blood and sweat into every aspect of this country, and they've given you nothing except Juneteenth. This upcoming civil war, please steer clear. Steer clear. It's going to get real dangerous. I mean, we got MTG as a prime example that they're ready to fight. I mean, they're wearing guns in Congress. What have we to do with this? What do Negroes have to do with this? Let me explain. even when we get involved in this bastardized democracy that these folks want to promote, this affront to God Almighty, in my opinion, you know, even when this is enjoined with Negroes voting, you get nothing in return. You put Biden in office, you flip the Senate, you get the House, the Senate, the White House, and Biden is trying to help everyone but us. He want to give money to everyone but us. The Black Caucus, all these leaders that went to bat for him are now, Mr. Claiborne, how are you, Jim? How are you feeling, Mr. Claiborne? Go grab a towel. It'll be okay. So, you get involved in this nonsense, you get nothing. We're not supposed to be involved in this. We were never to mingle. We are strangers in a strange land. We need to act accordingly. Prepare for the kingdom. All of this is headed straight for a train wreck, and everyone knows it. All right. 7-Eleven. I hit the hour mark. All right, I feel good. How's everybody doing? All right, I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate folks both watching and sharing and liking and subscribing. I do appreciate that. I am going to have a call in line. I am going to investigate which videos I can play, which videos I can't. I hope you have had a good time listening. And for goodness sake, folks, if you, again, enjoy what I do, please support the effort in the links provided in the description and the links provided in the show homepage. All right, well, I think I've done okay. I think this is one of the better efforts. I like it. I've said some good shit, I think. Just understand, I'm not fomenting revolt. Don't try these motherfuckers. They will hurt you. Look at their movies. All you gotta do is look at their fucking movies. Okay? They don't joke. They're no punk and coward. No. They have refined killing to a fine tune. It's impressive, honestly. And so, and we don't need to. What we need to do is await the kingdom as Hebrews. Understand who you are, await the kingdom. All right, this evening, 6 p.m., please tune in. I will have my voice recovered, drink some lemon and tea, and be back in front of you. The Doug White Show. And as you go about your day, in this penal colony for Negroes, here in the stolen land, please be conscious where you are. Understand, there's no benefit to smiling. There's no benefit to walking about giving that positive energy freely. So as you go about your day, remember to get that goddamn grin off your faces.